He's only been in office for 2 months. There's incredible amounts of concrete, tangible evidence that has been publicly disclosed, linking him to the world's worst paramilitary gangs and extrajudicial murderers in the country. That's what a real scandal looks like. Instead, in the U.S., we have 2 years of speculation and conspiracy theorizing and all kinds of... I've dealt with harassment far greater than what Carlos Maza is complaining of. I'm a gay man in a country, Brazil, that just elected a president driven by intense anti-gay animus. My husband's a member of Congress in the oppositional party. We've been mocked and derided with our sexual orientation, not by random YouTubers, but by the president of the country himself on Twitter and his family members who are elected members of Congress. And it would
I personally use the term fascist very sparingly, but I most certainly apply it to Jair Bolsonaro. The first time I ever wrote about Bolsonaro was in 2014 when he was still kind of obscure, and he had just for the second time told a female colleague with whom he served in Congress, a leftist, that who accused him of defending the use of torture and rape by the dictatorship, which are two of the techniques they use. He said to her, "Oh, you don't have to worry. I would never rape you. You're too ugly to deserve it." And Bolsonaro is Brazil's Trump, or the Trump of the tropics. Two cliches that have become popularized over the past several months to try and understand him are wildly inaccurate. He's much more like, say, the Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte, and probably even more extreme than him. I think the best current model would be the Egyptian dictator General Sisi, one in which he vowed to cleanse the country of what he called the red bandits, by which he means the Brazilian left, and said that Brazil will have a cleansing unlike any seen in its history, and that the only choices for those who refuse to submit to his rule will be prison, death, or exile. So he's been very consistent in his ideology. And he was part of a military dictatorship that lasted until 1985. He views that military dictatorship, which summarily executed critics, detained dissidents, closed media outlets, used torture systematically, was supported by the U.S. and the U.K., as the superior model of government to democracy, and has said that repeatedly, that he wants to bring Brazil back to that period, that really dark period in its recent history of the military dictatorship policy. So he hired an economic guru. He said he would empower to be kind of a super minister of the economy named Paulo Guedes. And Paulo Guedes is this kind of caricature from what was called the University of Chicago School, the Chicago boy. And he's as much of an extremist as Bolsonaro, just not quite as shocking because he's a University of Chicago trained economist. Yes, I think that he will bring back torture. He has been extremely consistent about the virtue of it, about the necessity of it, about the nobility of it.
That's his mentality and mindset, is one that says we have to use authoritarian, even fascist power because the communist threat is real in Brazil. He believes that Venezuela and Cuba and North Korea are coming to Brazil in the form of the Brazilian left.
Companheiros e companheiras, em 1990, quando criamos o Fórum de São Paulo, nenhum de nós imaginava que em apenas 2 décadas chegaríamos onde chegamos. Naquela época, a esquerda só estava no poder enquanto. Hoje, governamos grande número de países. E mesmo onde ainda somos oposição, os partidos do Fórum têm uma influência crescente na vida política e social.
This is not a far-right country. To the contrary, this is a country that in the past 4 national elections has voted for a center-left political party that was born as the Workers' Party, which is its name, and that was founded by a labor leader, Lula da Silva.
Eles têm que saber que a morte de combatente não para a revolução. Eles têm que saber. Eles têm que saber que nós vamos fazer definitivamente uma regulação dos meios de comunicação. Eles têm que saber que vocês, quem sabe, são até mais inteligentes do que eu e poderão roubar os pneus que vocês estão buscando, fazer as passeadas que estão acontecendo, fazer as ocupações no campo, na cidade. Parecia difícil a ocupação de São Bernardo e amanhã vocês vão receber a notícia de que ganharam o terreno que vocês invadiram.
How did Brazil, a country traditionally on the center left or the center, turn to such a far-right extremist?
Já que você já conseguiu produzir uma revolução ou uma revolução cubana que não é
And so, as usual, the sanctions regime that's being done in the name of helping the Venezuelan people is one of the biggest factors in their suffering, deprivation, and misery.
Conheci Nicolás Maduro, que me surpreendeu desde o primeiro momento por sua competência, o amor por seu povo e, principalmente, pela grande afinidade de pensamento com o presidente Chávez, em especial na defesa dos mais pobres.
Ele vem de outra época, ele é ainda lutando essa guerra contra o comunismo. E ele acha que o comunismo é uma ameaça grande aqui no Brasil. O Trump, Marine Le Pen, Nigel Farage, eles nunca falam sobre comunismo.
Just as communism has destroyed every single nation where it has ever been tried. But we will not be silent in the face of communist oppression any longer. You have seen the truth, you have spoken the truth, and the truth has now called us, this group, called us to action. Thank you. Here in the United States, we are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free. Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
But there's no question that Jair Bolsonaro is a serious menace to the right of dissent, to a free press, to basic democratic principles, and to human rights. He's portrayed himself explicitly as such, has a 30-year record of demonstrating that he means it, and I believe that he does.
A imprensa tem que ser livre. Agora, os limites, realmente, eu prefiro que extrapole limites do que coloque limites aquém daquilo que tem que ser levado ao conhecimento público. No caso